Learning Target 18, Day 3, we are revisiting intercepts again. Remember, an x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. So I'm going to draw a quick sketch over here. So let's say our line goes something like this. Here is where the line crosses the x-axis. The coordinate for that point will be x0, because anytime you are on the x-axis, from the origin you moved left and right, but you didn't move up or down at all. So your y value will always be 0 on the x-axis. And then looking at our y-intercept, we moved left or right 0, but we moved up or down some y value. So anytime you are on the y-axis, your x-coordinate is 0, because from the origin you didn't move left or right at all. So we use this information that we know about intercepts in order to solve for them when we're given an equation. So the process would be, doesn't matter which order you solve for your intercepts in. So my steps 1 and 2 are interchangeable. Substitute 0 for x, solve for y. Now I know some of you like setting up the table. So if you're going to set up a table, what you may want to do is give yourself some room to work. X value, y value. First, we're substituting 0 for x. In the middle, we're going to show our work, and we'll solve for y. So substituting 0 in for x, and then just simplifying. 0 plus 2 is 2. Half times 2 is 1. So we got 1 minus 3 is -2. Step 2, again, interchangeable. Doesn't matter which intercept you solve for first. We're going to start by substituting 0 for y this time and kind of work backwards to get the x-intercept. Now in this one there are several options. You can just solve as is, or you can distribute the 1/2. I need a little bit more room, so I had to get rid of my screen there. And what I mean by solve as is we can add 3 to both sides first. Now the next step, and I'm guessing distributive property will be easier for most of you to follow, so I'm going to go ahead and use distributive property at this point. Half of 2 is 1, so I'm going to cancel my 1. And then to cancel my 1/2, remember this bar in between my 1 and 2 means divide. So to cancel my division by 2, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So I've got my 2 ordered pairs that I'm then going to graph. Make sure, if you notice in my steps, I'm having you write your intercepts as ordered pairs. If you've got the table, it's fairly easy to see the ordered pairs in the table as well. But in this case, our y-intercept is 0, -2, and our x-intercept is 4, 0. So we're going to plot those 2 ordered pairs. And then make our line. As straight as possible, and make sure you've got arrows on the end of your line. Look at one more graphing from intercepts. Same process. Set up your table if you prefer. Get your equation in the middle. Substitute 0 for x, solve for y. So we get 0 plus 3 is 3. -6 times 3 is -18. -18 minus 4 is -22. So that's our y-intercept. Substituting 0 for y and working backwards to solve for x. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and distribute for 2 reasons. One, I showed you a different way on the first one. And 2, we've got an integer for a slope, so it's a bit easier to distribute with the integer slope than it was, lost my x, with the fraction slope. Combining like terms, negative 18 minus 4, canceling my negative 22. And then to solve for x, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 6. Now 6 does not go into 22 evenly, so we have to turn this into a mixed number in order to graph it. So I'm going to start by simplifying actually, because 6 and 22 are both divisible by 2, so I'm going to divide them both by 2. And then when you turn an improper fraction into a mixed number, you think about how many times the denominator goes into the numerator. And 3 goes into 11, 3 whole times. 3 times 3 is 9, and there's 2 left over, so that becomes our numerator. So how we graph these, I'm going to write down my order of pairs real quick. Now, first of all, this negative 22 isn't going to fit on my graph, so I'm going to have to scale my graph a little bit differently than by 1s. And because I know it's a 10 by 10, I'm going to go by 2s and let it hang off my graph a little bit. So that's my y-intercept. So I'm going to call this negative 20. So my y-intercept will be about here at negative 22. And I'm going to scale my x-axis by 1s because negative 3 and 2/3 will fit on my graph. So to graph negative 3 and 2/3, you just kind of approximate where it will be in between negative 3 and negative 4. It'll be about 2/3 of the way. And then you make your line as straight as you can and get arrows on the ends of it.